Dude, this is
And
horrible.
now we're rolling. It's for Totally Killer movie, Totally Killer off of Prime. Not that Prime sponsoring us, but they should.
They really should. And this shit tastes like crap. Dude, it's a Pepsi. Okay. I don't understand how my people can drink this shit.
What?
It is. I just drank a
wrong with
Pepsi,
Pepsi?
right now.
What's
It's
wrong
like
with Pepsi?
pure, because it's like pure sugar. It's like,
That's why
oh,
people
this
like
stuff
it.
could kill me.
That's all sodas. That's what you get for drinking a soda.
Yeah, I guess so. Dude, wait a minute. There's another person here. You know, this guy over here off to my side. Wait, it'd be like
Yes. You want to do that intro, Cobweb?
I would like to do the intro, Josh, but could you do me a favor first?
That quick, huh?
Yeah.
All right. What is it?
Can you hit the intro?
Yes, sir.
Warning. This podcast is about the horror genre, specifically horror films. As most horror movies are filled with coarse language, violence, and/or gore, the topics and language of the cast of the pod will also reflect the genre. If you have any issues with the aforementioned warnings, please press stop. However, if you have no issue with adult language, movie violence, or the accoutrement that accompanies horror films, please feel free to continue. You have been warned.
All right. As always, we start with that intro, and then we have our social media information out there, all of it being cast of the pod. Or if you want to hit up Cobweb, it's Cobweb411 for his information. Mike, Mr. Raspatello, that Cobweb's about to intro. Do you have any social media links you want to throw out there?
Oh, I see what you guys did there. I could have put that as well. How about we go with CHI Bluegrass, Shy Bluegrass, CHI Bluegrass. I started a Twitter account for the Chicago Bluegrass and Blues Festival back in 2008, which was like the first concert I ever did.
Hold on. 1 second.
Oh, no.
Okay.
There we go.
Ladies and
Perfect.
gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you guys a very dear friend of mine. This is Mike Raspatello. Big Mike, as I will call him. Big Mike has been very influential in the Cobweb's life. He put me on the big screen in my life.
Vice versa.
We've been very good friends for a while. We work very well together as professionals that can never, when we get together, there's magic, there's something gonna happen. So
That's
this is
true.
why we need to hang out more. We need to hang out more often.
That is
So
very
I just want to let you guys know that this guy right here is a person of very fond interest of festivals and music collaboration. And by the look and the judge of, if you guys are on YouTube, you will see him in this fire ass Wu-Tang sweater over here that is hot.
Nice.
That's hot. So I just want to just say what's up to you guys. And this is Mike Raspatello here today on Cast of the Pod.
You know, a wise man once told me that if this ever pops off on the big screen, they'll remember Wu-Tang is forever. And I've always agreed with that statement. One of the best lines in Cobweb's appearance in the film festival really stole the show. He's the guy people still talk about 10 years. You know, it's been 10 years since that was filmed. It was like 10 years ago this past summer. That was 2013, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's been 10 years since I was very fortunate to just meet Cobweb over like a random Facebook post at the time. Who's going to North Coast Fest? Who wants to let us follow them with a camera? And obviously, once Cobweb raised his hand, the rest was history. I got to learn. I learned as much about Chicago hip hop history doing that as I learned about you. You know, it was awesome. It was like a history lesson for me, and it always has been, man, getting to know you since.
Man.
Okay, there we go. It's like Voltron over here, man. Seriously.
Yeah, these guys might tear you down all show, but I'm going to be pumping your tires all show. That's a counterbalance. That's why you have it.
Mike is my bona fide hype man.
This is all I've ever. No one's ever asked me to be their hype man. So this is it's like I'm cosplaying a real hype man for Cobweb right now.
All right, so Mike, thanks for being here today. Did you pick the movie or did Cobweb pick the movie? Totally Killer.
Cobweb.
What?
Man, that's 2 days
Really?
in a row.
No, I'm glad because I would have never found it. I'm kind of out of the loop on the horror genre, so I needed that. I'm glad you guys picked. It reawakened me.
Awesome. Yeah, yesterday we had Damon Deshawn on the podcast, and we thought Damon picked The Blackening, the movie that we talked about, and come to find out it was Cobweb. So Cobweb's like 6 movies in a row picking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Deb, you gotta pick the next movie, Deb.
I already did.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
As you can tell by my background here, look, hold on, wait. Look, it's really there. We're kicking into Christmas pretty soon. But we'll get into that later. We're talking about Totally Killer, which is a Prime movie. And anybody want to say anything before I get into the IMDb's of it?
I'm gonna say one thing.
Uh-oh.
And when we found out what movie we were doing, I was like, really? Why are we doing this movie? I didn't want to watch it.
Wow.
That's all I'm gonna say for right now.
See,
I didn't want to watch the movie.
That's Deb's spoiler alert that she liked the movie. If she's warned,
I've
learned.
I'm not saying if I liked it or not yet. I'm just why watch it.
All right.
That's what my first thought was.
I went in cold. I didn't even watch the trailer. It was more exciting to me. I hadn't seen the trailer once you sent it to me. I had no idea. I only had a rough idea what to expect. And like I said, I'm so out of the loop that like I know when you hear Blumhouse or Bloom, I don't even know how to say it. I know that's like the hip new horror, but I don't totally know what that means. So I liked that I went in cold. I will also not say if I liked it yet.
So all I had seen was the poster for it. I didn't know it was a time travel movie. And this is the same thing for me and Deb as we were watching it. And I'm not sure if it's Blumhouse or Bloomhouse. And as soon as that popped up on the screen, I told Deb, I was like, oh, okay.
I'm like, okay.
Gets a point there. Gets a point there. But yeah, so let me read it real quick. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first murder spree to claim another victim, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987, determined to stop a killer before he can start. That's pretty good. It's a decent breakdown of it.
I love it. Let me tell you guys something. I'm a sucker for time travel movies. Sucker. You got me anytime. I'm down with that. And to be a horror movie too? Yeah. And he was a straight
I wonder how many other
killer.
horror movies have gone through time travel. I know there's like Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You. Those are kind of time travel, multiverse type things. But yeah.
I see that get mentioned. Of course, I did quick looks at other people's reviews after I saw it, and that was the comparison that kept coming up. But I think they were very open, wink, wink, nudge, nudge about being a mix between Scream and Back to the Future. I think they were kind of coming out and saying that in different ways throughout the movie almost. I think she references both of those movies.
Yep.
And so the minute I was like, oh, okay, that's what this is. Quite honestly, it kind of just helped me follow it more easily because I knew like the formula in a very tongue-in-cheek, open and unabashed way.
Cool.
Yeah. They gave you the principles right off the grip. It made it a little bit easier to people to digest that aren't really into too much horror movies. That's just me.
No, that's cool. As soon as it went in and it showed the douchebag podcaster, I was like, all right. It's very self-aware of the crowd that it's going for. And I didn't know how I felt about the masks. What did y'all think about it?
What was that?
Well,
that was that's easy, bro. That's what's my name? Max Headroom.
That MTV thing, right?
Was it Max
No,
Max Headroom?
well,
Max
yeah, that was Max.
yeah.
Headroom.
I
That's
thought it
what
was I thought it was a reference to Max Headroom on IMDb. It's saying that the makeup wizard Tony Gardner and the director Nahnatchka Khan, they wanted something original from the 80s. They wanted that nostalgic vibe, which they probably brought up Max Headroom, and but it doesn't say that here on the list. They wanted a Keither Sutherland, Rob Lowe, Dolph Lundgren, and Johnny Bravo look. But was Johnny Bravo around in the 80s?
I don't think
Yes.
so.
Oh no, I think he came in the 90s.
The cartoon?
Yeah,
That was the
Mhm.
90s.
that's what I was
I believe
thinking.
so.
I was like, I'm old, but I'm not that old.
What's Johnny Bravo? Oh yeah, it is really.
The cartoon Johnny Bravo-ish.
It really is kind of exactly Johnny Bravo when you look at it. It didn't start till 1997. This is Googling on the radio.
There you go.
See,
Yeah,
that's
it
what I'm
does.
saying. It was. I liked it. I like Jimmy. First of all, I like that character from Max Headroom because that took me back. Because I used to watch that show back in the day, and I actually had a Max Headroom book cover on my science book. So
Nice.
so when I saw this dude dressed up like Max Headroom trying to kill people, I was like, sign me up, baby.
If
I think the mask was one of the better parts, frankly.
Yeah. If you want to go in on the deep end about Max Headroom, there's this one episode of the TV show that I'll never forget because they couldn't turn off their TVs and you couldn't throw like a blanket over your TV. It was always on, it was constant, and it was the information that was being fed to you. And it's like it was very, very prophetic. I'm just saying, hopefully nothing happens to us like when we went into They Clone Tyrone. So we're not saying anything bad. Wink.
Oh God, no, not tonight. We've already had issues.
Man, we always got issues. But all right. So for anybody that hasn't seen the movie, it's a small town. They're talking about a killer from 35 years ago that killed 3 16-year-old kids from the local high school. And that's how he becomes a Sweet 16 killer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with 3 kills, does that really make him a serial killer?
Yeah.
Just not a mass murderer.
Well, he was a serial killer because he was targeting one particular group, and it was a faction, and they were the Mollies. The Mollies.
Mm-hmm.
The Molly Ringwalds. Yeah, the Mollies.
That was beautiful.
That was good.
I love that. I love that click. So yes, I would think he was a serial killer.
Okay. But so he comes back now in present time, 35 years later, to finish the job, so to speak.
And to kill one last girl, the last Molly.
Which we didn't know that the person who gets killed. And she's from Modern Family. Deb and I are sitting there watching it, and it's like, where's she from? And then it's like, oh yeah, she's from Modern Family. And then she gets killed. Right as soon as we realize who she is, she gets killed. I was like, damn it, this movie.
She came with it though.
Yeah.
Props. She came with the real. She was not a person of that like took it lightly that this person was still out there and could possibly come back for her. And she actually had every protection she probably could have. I don't think there's too many parts to where she didn't play that scene off pretty good, where she could have messed up.
She told him that she's been waiting for.
Realize later who it was who was attacking her. My first thought is like, oh, she could beat that guy's ass. Like, I don't believe that the person who proves to have killed her in that first version of history would win in a fight against her, especially that prepared. Like we talked about. And then also it kind of pulled the Scream move where, Scream, you think Drew Barrymore is about to be the star of that movie, and then she's dead right away. And Julie Bowen, I'm like, oh, well, she's the most famous person in this movie. She'll be in it the whole time. And that did not prove to be true. That was a sweet move by them. I did not think he was going to get her in that first scene.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And that's something we talked about in our The Blackening podcast, where Jay says at the beginning of it, Yeah, well, that happens because they can't afford to pay for those stars for the whole movie, and then they kill them off at the beginning of the movie. Man, 2 days in a row, two completely, totally different movies. Deja vu. It's pretty cool.
Man, did you guys think that she was going to survive?
The mom?
The mom?
Yeah, at first, through the fight,
Yeah.
I thought that she would have, and for a while, the way she came with it, I thought she was going to get away.
I did too.
Oh, you mean the whole I thought you were talking about the whole movie. Yeah, I thought with the fight, because just like how Mike said, she was kicking ass, and we didn't even know who the killer was at that time. And I mean, she had the gun shelves, the hidden gun vaults around the house. She knew some type of self-defense. Yeah, did not expect her to get it right then and there on the floor.
That was clever, right? Because the reveal, not to over intellectualize it, but that's, I guess we are doing a podcast about one movie. They reveal that she has all that hidden stuff. So of course you're like, oh, that's the surprise that's going to be pulled on the attacker. And it was a kind of nice little double misdirection, even in a movie that isn't trying to be, intellectual by any means. It does have a few little clever touches like that I think, I don't know, save it from being boring. Like, it wasn't a great movie, but I was paying attention the whole time and wasn't totally sure what was about to happen.
So the main character now is the daughter of Bowen.
And she's Sabrina. In the show Sabrina.
From the Netflix series Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. Her name is Jamie. And her best friend was Amelia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who just happened to be creating a time machine for her high school science project.
Could have explained that more.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. That's all you needed to know. She picked up where her mother left off. That's it.
Yeah, it was fine.
Her mother started a time machine, and now it's time for it to come out. There was a reason for that. You can't interrupt the space-time continuum.
I did like when they threw out the whole when they were discussing the time machine and how everything was changing, and it's at the tip of my tongue. What is it called when the things change?
Changes?
Butterfly effect?
Yeah, well, not the butterfly effect, but
I don't know. There's been so much multiverse stuff in movies now that it kind of gets.
What is it called?
Time stream, time continuum.
The whole Monopoly guy didn't have the eye thing.
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect.
That was a great point. Yes.
I liked how they were saying when you go back in time, it changes, and then when up in the future, that's when everything changes, and that's what we're calling the Mandela effect.
And that's what creates a Mandela effect, as opposed to now where some people are saying it's different universes crossing over, and we're melding in with people that lived in one and another. Yeah, I like that.
I think so. The Mandela effect. I can see it.
That was.
It was
cool
like.
Take on that.
That was really nice of her friend to actually do that for her too. She was like, I think I said, why are you sending it back to that date? She's like, we go back, you can go back and try to save your mom. That was very touching, because she just turned it right over to that whole concept like that. And the fact that she went back in time actually to try to go save her mother from that freaking killer, that shit was that's grade A. That's balls. Because he was raw when he killed her. 16 stab wounds. That was pretty rough.
So the whole premise of it is when Amelia comes up with her time machine that she's working on, like Mike and Cobweb said, she wants to go back into time to stop the killer back in 1987. That way the killer won't kill her mom in present day. But when you think about the whole thing, as we get to the end of the movie in a little while, she's kind of the reason. When you think about it, well, no, I don't want to say that. The killer in present day is not the killer from the past.
No, it's not. They're two different people, just like she wasn't too.
Right. I was thinking that it was her fault for going back in time and changing things. but not really because of the reason why the current day killer decided to kill. So I was getting ahead of myself.
But that raises a good point that I can't remember now. Why did the original killer stop and never actually kill the girl who becomes Julie Bowen? I forget. Why did he stop after the first three?
I believe that because she had changed her ways. She did change her lifestyle. I'm not sure why. I can't remember why she got away from the killer that night, or why she
did
didn't.
He quit killing?
Well, he stopped killing her. He was out for the Mollies. That was the only reason why he was out for there, because of what they did to his girlfriend.
Yeah, but he killed the first three girls, and then he never killed.
Never killed the
main girl's mom. Who the woman who plays the teen version of her was awesome. She was good. Her like comedy to like Mean Girl shit. She could be in a remake of Mean Girls and just crush any of the roles.
So when Jamie gets to the past, and she's meeting all the different people, and she finds out, because they didn't know that the three girls were called the Mollies. They just knew that these three girls in their town back in the day got killed. People from around that time probably knew, and they just didn't talk about it. But as the lore built up, the only thing that was going on in this town, that's why they had the little podcast tour and all that in present day, was the history that it had. So the history kind of got blown up, and it got changed and word of mouth, you know how that stuff goes. So when she gets back there and she finds out that her mom was actually part of that group being called the Mollies, who dressed up like Molly Ringwald, and then her mom, who's all like prim and proper and don't stay out too late or whatever, is pretty much a douchebag. She's a mean girl.
Straight up.
Yeah.
I think she was the meanest one.
For sure.
Out of all of them.
And let me be honest with y'all right now. The shit that they talk about Mean Girls now, there ain't nothing like an 80s Mean Girl.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were gonna say the opposite.
No.
I was thinking he was going the other way. Yeah.
No, 80s Mean Girls, they raw. Okay, because we had 80s people when we came up, there was nothing. We wouldn't stop. You know what I'm saying? There was no
there was no
action.
social media to self snitch.
No, it wasn't.
And then have the proof online.
Oh man, you would come to blows over some people like that. She was rough. She was mean too. And that dodgeball scene, that was pretty funny.
That was great.
I used to play that all the time.
I did too.
That was the best stuff comedically. Was the younger girl or whatever, the current day Jamie, just just kind of digesting things that were so effing normal to all of us in the 80s, like smoking everywhere, like in the doctor's office smoking, and then dodgeball and in gym and
being harassed.
Some of the ridiculous things kids said to each other, the normalization of just slurs amongst middle school kids was just ridiculous.
My favorite part is when she's trying to get into the party, and I think he's the principal, right? The tall guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's trying to get into the party, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't want her here." And he's like, "Whoa!" And he stops her, and he's got his hand on her chest, not in a sexual way or anything like that. He's just holding her to keep her back, like, "Hey, get out of here." And she says, "Unwanted touch, unwanted touch," and he shoves her,
right.
And he goes, "Unwanted person." And it just seeing the comparison and contrast to now and then was just hilarious.
It was.
Oh man, when she went to the school,
yes,
it was the same thing. She kept asking for, like, when she went up there and talked to the lady at the desk, she was like, here's the information. She's like, what the hell?
And she's like,
I'm looking for so and so's schedule. She's like, okay, and the lady starts looking. She goes, I realize that it's sensitive information. You can't just give that to anybody. And the lady gives her a copy. Here you go. 10 seconds into it.
Oh man, what's the comment she said? She said, I wonder what it's like flying. It must be a madhouse. In the 80s, you could take anything on the plane back in the 80s. Okay,
think
let's be honest.
it-
They
And
was
everyone was so much better behaved.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
people were smuggling cocaine on the 80s on airplanes. So let me tell you something. You can get away with anything. It's true.
I heard
The
something
80s was
recently
wild
where
country.
there was like a period in the 80s where it's like 1 out of every 130 planes was like hijacked during 1 year, and most of it was non-violent hijacking, just like take me to Puerto Rico and let me escape from this extradition, stuff like that, or ransom situations. But there was some period of time where it was almost like as easy as robbing like a Midwest community bank was like hijacking planes in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Talking
I
about
should
planes.
fact check that on the internet at some point. I'm sure it's right at some point between 1975 and 1984, let's call it.
Talking about planes and the 80s and cocaine. You remember back in the day when it was like, have you touched $100 bill? And it's like, yeah, people touch $100 bill. It's like, then you've touched cocaine. Something like 98% of all $100 bills had been rolled up to, yeah.
This is true. This is very true. dude, let me tell you something. You know what part when it got me when I was watching this movie, when she first walked out and she started looking around, I saw all those people wearing those crazy clothes from the 80s. And when I saw that members only jacket, and you know how I feel about that members only jacket, Josh. Oh, it's so bad. It's just like bona fide for me. I gotta have one.
I gotta find that damn movie. I can't remember what movie it is, and the villain's wearing a members only jacket, and they're like, "What is he? The last member?" Or just
I'm just gonna walk around waiting to see someone in a members only jacket now, so I can repeat that.
Mike, have you ever tried one on?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have. I always felt like I was late to the party, even late to the retro comeback party. I do remember my grandpa, uncle, they were members only type guys, like Italians from Lombard in the 80s, like that makes sense, right? You'd imagine that in a members only jacket.
I had the black one with the gray collar and the gray pocket, the line up on top. Picked it up from a thrift store when I was a kid. So yeah, I was a member of that crew for a while.
Yeah, I had the wine one, the burgundy wine one or something like that. It was. Ooh. I used to have that one. I had that one back in the day. Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Oh man, it's hard to talk about this movie since they go back and forth to the current time and the past, and then the movie has a huge turnaround on it, a kind of like a gotcha moment. Am I going too far into this?
No.
What happened?
I was just grabbing something.
Messed
up the audio. That was my fault.
Oh man, what you talking about, Josh? A gotcha moment?
Well, when they find out who the killer is, but then come to find out the podcast douchebag continues killing in the future because his podcast numbers are going down, and nobody cares about his podcast story because he's already said it so many times that he had to bring some kind of interest in it.
Yeah, he had to get some new material.
But like Mike was saying earlier, or maybe was it you, Cobweb? That what happened to the original killer? Like why did he stop? Or
yeah, he stopped because she changed. He was still going to kill her, but she changed her ways really very quickly after her friends died, and they became friends afterwards. After, even though he killed her other friends, that's why he didn't kill her.
Didn't he become the
changed
principal?
her ways? Yeah, he was the principal of the school afterwards. And that's the whole thing. He was good. I didn't suspect him actually being the killer in the 80s.
I was gonna say, you talking about the kid or you talking about the grown up? Because that was something this movie did very well. Man, the casting they cast good versions of each in present time and in the past. And I don't know if it was makeup or they happen to look so much like they're the person they were cast for. It was done well. The attitude, the acting was good.
Yeah, yeah.
It
I
was
like
an
how they
easy
brought it back to
transition
him.
to not get lost on who's who.
Right. Because he was because that's one thing I did notice when they said that he was I was like, man, this killer, he can fight, because that whole scene in that one room when they was all in the cabin, that was pretty rough. That was hardcore. That was hardcore for this movie.
Oh,
So in my
man.
mind, I'm sitting up there thinking, like, how is this dude like kicking all their asses? And then they go back and say because he had took the he took karate at the mall or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when other people weren't doing karate, he was doing karate. But so Julie goes back and Jamie goes back in time, and she's trying to stop all these things from happening. And she's got the podcast information in her head. She's got the podcast saved on her phone, right?
Yeah.
Something like
Because
that.
I think that's when she finds out that he's been talking to her mom.
Yeah. But find out that the podcast guy was talking to the mom. But so she's trying to go to the moments when the different Mollys got killed, and she's trying to stop it from happening. And she stops it from happening when it's supposed to, but since it's kind of inevitable, it still happens, but in different ways, and it starts changing the future. And it's cool because the podcast guy is there with Amelia in present day, the friend, and she's trying to create a new time machine to go back and bring Julie back. Jamie, I'm not going to remember her name. She's going to bring Jamie back. And he's even pointing out, hey, well, now this Molly died on this day instead of this Molly on that day. And that's when they bring up the whole Mandela effect. And I mean, there were a lot of little smart things about this movie that caught me off guard. I was surprised about.
Going back to where we're asking like how come he didn't kill the mom, but I'm just remembering right now when after the third one had died, didn't they say like she got a note in her locker and then she had went to him? Like
yeah, but remember they found out the note was fake.
Yes,
it was a fake note. It was a fake note.
The podcast guy came up with the fake note in present day.
Oh, okay.
And gave it to the kid, right? To freak her.
Right.
Yeah, to freak her out that her mom was actually next.
Man, what an asshole, right?
See, this is why Rick and Morty doesn't do time travel. It's just so hard to break into it and explain when is now is when, then is then.
You know why it's easy for you guys to understand this? Because we all seen one thing. We've all seen Back to the Future, and that's why we can understand time travel. Like those people that didn't see it Back to the Future in the 87, that's why they couldn't understand what the heck they were talking about. She even said that.
Yes, but here's what Back to the Future did well for us the first time around is they never went back and forth. The first one, they just went there, tried to prevent one thing, and then did or didn't, and then they did, and they went back, and then number 2 was so effing confusing because of how straightforward the first one was.
And so they also point out in the movie, I think she said something about, am I going to disappear now since I don't happen in the future? But then Amelia's mom, who started the time machine back in the day, Lauren, she starts explaining, no, that's not how time travel works. It's just you won't exist. You'll be here, but you from then, and explains the whole thing about, life will be different. Everything will be changed. But since you're in the past now, you left, your time was then and now is now. So it's not going to affect this specific particular person right there. And yeah, my head hurts.
No, but then she'd go back and she would just not exist to anybody, but she would still be like a living being that just is not known by anyone in her current timeline at all.
That's not
She's
necessarily
no longer in that timeline.
You can start all over again.
I was gonna say that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some people, it'd probably be a good thing.
What a trip! See this movie. Who said this movie wasn't deep?
It is. It's all about that time travel, man. She was very upset about that. She didn't know what she was going to do out there. She was just like really scared. And then the whole thing with the cell phone, it was like the cell phone battery started running down. Then that means that she was going to be stuck in that present time forever. You know?
See, that's something that made me mad because
Why?
Amelia's mom, Lauren, can make a time machine or figure out the time machine and all that, but she couldn't figure out how to run a couple of wires for a USB-C.
But like how did that USB? Did it exist in any
Right, she didn't have her charger with her.
Profession where like AV people using USB at that point in a non-consumer way?
No, but I mean, she can make a time machine. Time machine didn't exist at all, but she was already 90% of the way of it. She could have, figured out here's positive, here's negative. I'm gonna charge a battery.
Fair point. Can't argue with that. Either way, it felt very relatable.
Time for that though.
To tie something that gives us all anxiety into far more existential.
Yes.
And remember that when she got stuck in the hallway, she was coming up the stairs and this girl saw her, and when she was on her phone, and she was like, "Are you from the future?" She's like, Yeah, I went from the future.
That was great. And the kid was just like, cool, or whatever.
Was the one person who believed her.
Yeah. And they were just all chill about it. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, psychics and everything else like that. It was good. When they started breaking it down a little bit, the whole time, I enjoyed that whole thing. Like I said, I'm a sucker for time travel movies.
To be fair to the girl that saw her, she was a little altered. She was in an altered state, and that was another funny thing about it when they were smoking and the mom gave her the bag, and she's like, "What is this? It's like dirt and rocks and seeds and."
It was.
Everybody was all gone, and then she had already knocked back like six brownies that were spiked, and she's like, "There's no effect on me." the percentage change from 80s to current day. Yeah.
I would say so.
Hey, it is it's something that's not used as a premise of a joke enough. It was a great example. There was another vodka joke that I've been trying to think of that was just another, and of course now I'm going to bring it up and not remember it, but there was a great vodka joke, and then just like another time thing was the DNA joke. Was just one of maybe the best, the funniest scene in the movie is when she gives the bloody evidence to Randall Park, who's like the one person I knew by name other than Julie Bowen in this movie, who's probably had like some of the funniest lines, but him laughing at the idea of testing for DNA was just like, it reminds you how that started with the OJ trial. And even then no one believed it, or it didn't get believed enough. Right. So that was 7 years before that. Ridiculous.
The scene played out so well with her having, I guess she did she stab him, or she got some of the blood off of the killer, and she's got it in a Ziploc bag, and she gives it to the sheriff, who's Randall Park, and she's like, "There you go, here you go, you're welcome." He's like, "What's this for?" She's like, "Just run the DNA and then pull it from a database." He's like, "Sure, I'll get onto a magic computer and run the DMA in our magic database." And he just throws it on the floor, kicks it away.
She's
it was good
what?
things, man.
So
there was so much on that.
I have a question. If y'all could go back in time, like say, like how Jamie did, how would you convince people that you were from the future?
Wow.
You want to let people know you're from the future?
Yeah, because you're going to stop something that's happening. Like Jamie's, like you're Jamie, and you need to.
Yeah. All right. Good question.
Well, it would be. This is the first thing I would say first. Okay, it would have to be somebody that I would know personally, that I could convince to do that. That I'm from the future, because I would know things about them that they probably thought about or something else like that or whatever. Because what it was is you have to get like that one scene when she told about her girl and she got really specific about what type of person she was going to be, that cop. And it was like she's like, man, she's like, that was really, specific about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only way you're going to be able to convince somebody, really. You have to get like really in depth with that conversation or something like that. Like
Something
if you
that
didn't know,
nobody else would know.
Right. Like she did with the book. Like she convinced her with the book because she says you have a book that you have all this stuff in it, everything else like that for your time travel stuff. And she was I never told nobody that.
The good thing about the book is she's like, yeah, I knew it was going to work. I knew my time travel would that's why she accepted it so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, you could tell the I thought there'd be more to the best friend the mom. Now I'm confused about who it was again. The mom who started the book. In the future, she had this very weird moment at the beginning with Jamie's dad, like the husband of the Julie Bowen who got murdered, where like it had me wondering what like part of this traumatic history they shared together. And I felt like, I don't know if this was on purpose, but there were a few, it felt like loose ends where it kind of implied, like in all, I guess all good horror movies or whatever, where they like had a glance or a moment that made you think like, oh shit, something happened between these two people that were completely left open or unresolved unless I was missing something. And that wasn't one of those that I was like waiting for the whole time. Like, what is the childhood thing that happened between the buff guy who becomes the dad and the the person who started the time machine?
Right.
Great with these names.
I think it was all just because the mom was part of the Mollies and the dad wasn't a good person either. And
yeah,
that was kind of funny because the dad in the current day, he's got the dad bod going on, his little chunky face and all that. He's like, yeah, I used to be hot and blah, blah, blah. And the daughter's like, sure, whatever. And then she goes back in the time and they're at the party and here comes this guy getting out of the pool and they're showing his abs and his damn dick root going on the sides and all that. Nobody had that. No, nobody had that the muscles like that back in the 80s, right there, And then she's like, "Who's that?" And it says the name. And she's like, "Oh, gross, that's my dad."
That was good. And you know what the whole thing? You know what the joke's about with when our girl died because she said that she didn't do BJ's or something else like that, and the running joke. That was a joke that I've heard so many times in the 80s. Why they used to say that stuff like that? Because pee comes out of there. I'm not doing that. That's gross. But that was like if you grew up in the 80s, that was a common. You heard that phrase before. I've heard it many a times. Is it me?
No, 100%. Of course.
I don't know, man. In the 80s, I was 10 years old. I don't know what you're talking
about. Well, no, I guess I'm saying more 90s. I don't know. Was like people say Derb where any of you guys grew up?
Derb, yeah.
Derb?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called? Where Cobweb? No?
D-U-R
Chicago thing, like Dick Durbin. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Derb.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if I'm just like lumping things from 1995 and 1996 together, but I'm pretty sure like the first guy who introduced me to like that Do or Die album is who also taught me what Derb meant. So I feel like that's a Chicago thing. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Look at me, dude. If I'm accurate about any of that, I'm pretty proud of myself for just going with some half-assed, non-researched memory from 1996.
The movie. Why are you on 1996, Mike? The movie back in 1987.
I'm trying to think about the ways BJ's were joked about when we were kids in high school.
They would still joke like that in high school.
Yeah, dude. People called it Derb. I'm definitely not making it. I just thought that was a thing everyone in Chicago.
So on the Urban Dictionary, it says the word can be used to point out someone who is known for giving oral pleasure. Derb. Derb.
Never heard.
I totally thought. Yep.
The first reference for it when you Google it is for the Drug Utilization Review Board in New Jersey, but
no.
Well, you know them people out there.
Both important.
Important.
But man, I thought you guys were gonna answer all my questions about where it came from.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know when he started talking this urban slang. Mike is, I'm like, Derb. I'm like, I guess I've heard that before. I'm like, I'm just rolling around with it. I'm like,
I think I like sound. Goodness.
Well, I mean, it's in Urban Dictionary, so other people apparently have heard it too.
There you go. Now I just really want to know if it came from the play on words, like Dick Durbin was like our senator, or was, whatever, was like running. Maybe it was his first time running for election. I don't remember. It's when I became aware of who that was. But someone saying like someone be Dick Durbin, you know what I mean? Like, and they would say his name that way, and I thought that's where it came from. Anyway,
you guys, you got to realize, like, that they're from Texas.
I'm making up history right now. Making up oral history, pun intended. Anyway, back to the movie.
Oh yeah, we never get off on the rail.
Never.
Oh my God, never get off the rails on this movie. Hey, what was your favorite kill? Anybody?
The waterbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
I did like when he got on the down here they were called cyclotrons, the carnival ride where everybody that lays down on the side and it spins around, but how he stood up and he was walking.
He was walking. Yeah.
I was
like,
hard.
No, can't do that.
You know,
yeah,
ours go up though in here in Chicago, and it's called the Gravitron. And the wall slides up the wall. It slides up as you go there, so you're not staying in one spot. So, do your guys stay in one spot out there?
I don't know, man. I don't trust carnival people.
I've gone on it once.
What do you got against Kearney's? And what happened, Deb? You were okay?
It stayed. Yeah, I was okay. I mean, I didn't.
Right.
I'm here.
Why don't you like Kearney's?
That's neither here nor there. We won't get into it here on Cast of the Pod. I'm not saying I don't like Kearney's, but ixnay on the Arnie K, all right?
Okay. I'm not gonna get there. I'm not get too personal. Jeez. I think we're never gonna do thinner then, right?
Sooner or later.
That movie's terrifying.
It is.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. That's pretty rough.
I had a bad case of thinner one time, but it was from going to Raising Cane's. And it just...
Are you serious?
Yeah, I thought that shit was actually really good. Or is it wrong?
See, we loved going to Raising Cane's, and then we just went to this one on Bandera Road, and it kicked in some bad stomach stuff going on, and within a month I lost like 34 pounds. I was in the hospital, dehydrated.
Jeez.
Just like,
whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't a good weight loss either. You would think 34 pounds would, it wasn't a.
Are we turning this into a Raising Cane sponsorship? Do they, I feel like have a.
I mean, we've gone to other.
Made here something maybe quid pro quo,
We've gone to other locations, and it might be sheerly coincidental that it started with a weird tasting cane sauce. And I'm not saying it was their fault.
In the moment, you were like, "Ooh, something's a little tang here. Something different."
Yep.
Oh man.
That was
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Joker,
you gotta say
ain't
allegedly on
legit.
podcasts. That just
Oh yeah,
you're
that's
clear
right.
if you say
Yeah.
allegedly.
Okay.
So how long before you went to another location without getting squeamish?
Like 6 months.
Okay.
Actually,
that-
just recently.
I wonder how long it would take me.
Well, no, and that was because Deb wanted to go, and it was like, fine, you want to go to fucking Canes? We'll go to Canes. If I die this time, it's your fault. That's how that was how the conversation went.
That's exactly how it went.
What are
And
the
I
I
felt
can hear
guilty.
that too.
And I felt guilty, and I'm like, I just wanted the tea.
Yeah. We're all gonna go somehow.
Yeah.
I've only had it once, and it really lived up to the hype.
Really?
Nice.
Well, that's all good.
I've been
That's all
trying
good.
to trick my kid into going to get chicken wings or tenders, really, just going hardcore on tenders, like trying to be like, hey, your choice where we get to go, hoping just one day he says B-dubs or something, you know? Cool.
Take him to Hooters. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Hooters for sure.
Yeah, just take him to
I
Hooters.
want to
It'll be
take
fun.
him to Hooters now. He's 9. The oldest one's 9, so he's like just young enough where he's like being less pervy in his little head because it hasn't flipped over fully yet. And so I don't want my first time at Hooters to be like with a 12-year-old with his little phone texting his buddies about exactly what I would have been saying, you know. So I want to get that first Hooters wing overeating thing happen before he's, you know, a little pube boy.
Yeah.
Use my language.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Great description. We all know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. That's one of the examples of why me having sons is easier, because at least I can just put it right, oversimplify into like what my little head was doing, and it just helps me time things out a little more easily.
Oh man. Hey, Josh, what's that noise in the background? I hear?
Man, I didn't know you were gonna go there already. It's like, okay.
No, I just I got to get this out in the open.
Okay. Man, I just realized you get 2 full buttons on that damn calculator.
This cobweb.
Yeah. Ain't that some shit?
Okay, so who's going first?
Okay, Mike. So normally what happens in this type of situation, since you're the guest today, it's up to you if you want to go first, if you want to go last. Let us know. And then we're doing a rating of the movie, 0 being the worst, 10 being the best. And you can have some 0.5s.
I'll go first. Let's see what I All right, definitely better than I expected it to be. I'm a nice guy, and I want rating inflation to help the algorithm for Cobweb and I, frankly. So just in general, on Prime specifically. So I'm going to give it a 7.8. I'm going to give it a 7.8. If you guys do points, I'm sure. Because it wasn't like an awesome movie. I'm probably never going to watch it again, but I was not bored. I had no idea like what type of horror it would be, like what type of slasher. I didn't know it'd be comedy. I figured it'd be a little bit of comedy, but I thought it was there was some CGI, there was some like blood splatter fakeness that I noticed, and don't even have a trained eye for stuff like that, but I thought it was like I could see it on a big screen. I thought it was like a higher quality movie than I kind of expected it to be also. So there you go. 7.8.
Not bad. Who's next?
We'll go with you, and then me, then Cup.
Okay, well, I'll say the same thing. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't know, honestly, from looking at the poster, I thought it was just going to be a cheesy, low budget. I've been running into a lot of those lately, not realizing it is a Prime movie. And then the comparison to how people react then and now for me, that was a plus. It gave it extra points. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay, so like I said earlier, I was not happy. I was like, I thought this was gonna. I like Josh. I thought this was gonna be and not a good cheesy. I was like, oh. So after watching it, I really enjoyed it. In fact, I wanted to watch it again today. Um, it brought me back. Back and I don't know. I liked the whole thing. I was really happy when I found out it was Sabrina and then the mom from Modern Family. I gave this movie a 9 because I really liked it.
Whoa.
I did.
Whoa.
Damn.
It was just a lot of stuff, and it was funny. And again, with the Mandela effect, like the whole time traveling, the Mandela effect, everything. It was just it made a lot of sense.
Mr. The Web.
An 8.
That's an infinity sign for the time.
I was gonna say he gave it infinity.
Oh. I was like, cobweb it sideways.
No, I enjoyed the movie too a lot. I thought it was really good. You know, it was the whole thing, like Josh was saying, like, you know, like to see like the things of like then and now, like when she went to the school, the high school, then it was the Indians or something like that. And she said, oh, there's the racism.
As soon as she saw the school.
Yeah, right. See, but it's stuff like that, you know, that we get from the 80s that, you know, now and stuff like that. Because 80s movies I always like them. I always like time travel movies, stuff like that. So it was easy for me to be roped into this movie. I thought it was just enough brutality to make you, you know, keep it a horror movie, because the stabbing was, whenever he stabbed one of these women, it was brutal. You know, 16 times, even if they were dead, he made sure he came back to finish them off. 16 stabs, you know, which made it very hardcore, you know, on that concept, you know. So I definitely give it an 8, and I recommend if anybody watch it, I'd say go for it.
So the 4 of us are giving the movie a rating of 8.2.
So an 8, that's pretty good.
Bravo.
That's pretty good. That's good.
So what do I see next, guys? I need the recommendation. Now I think a lot of it is earmuffs, but I married someone who just doesn't like horror movies. So it's really ruined the horror movie cadence in this household. You know, I do a lot of smoking weed and passing out in the basement. So I got a lot of time down here for a little horror movie me time. So shoot those recommendations to your guy, Mike.
Oh, no doubt about that. Mike, wait a second. Before we get too far on and stuff like that, what I don't know how to explain this about this guy. Mike, could you just please let them know about the Bluegrass Festival or something, or something that you're working on, or something else like that?
The short of it is, I'm, a wannabe creative person that always tries to find a way to have half of my job involve being on the business side of creative things. And so I've been lucky enough to get to work with people to help start music festivals, and then, work with people who are established filmmakers and videographers to have the access and skills necessary to make a, documentary about festivals. It's just something I've always loved and wanted to find ways to work in as much as possible. I've had corporate jobs along the way, but always, wanted to end up doing more in the live event world. That's what I do now. I'm now, in that midlife entrepreneurship phase where I'm off on my own, producing a few big events, trying to open a venue in Michigan. But so that's my love, man. And that's how I got to meet Cobweb, who, I was also a kid growing up here in the 80s and 90s, like, every kid in Oak Park caring about Chicago hip hop and feeling, the thing about Oak Park, where I don't know, Josh and Deb, actually, if you are in Chicago land area at all right now, or if you're from here, but Cobweb will surely know that, like, Oak Park is the edge. It's like the last stop on the L, on the green line and the blue line. So it gives like little white suburban kids just enough living on the grid to feel like you're a step closer to knowing about Chicago hip hop when you're not actually, like you're just, but you feel close geographically to like where Common is happening. You're in high school learning about Tongue Twista, and you conceptually that's like 50 blocks away from where I'm standing right now. And it was like an easy way to be a poser about it. And so I was very, very into it. And then that, like I said, that's the byproduct of meeting Cobweb, is I got to have like an oral history lesson about a thing I had gotten really into like in the mid 90s when you couldn't go down an online rabbit hole. So I would literally I remember you told me about that whole Resurrection album, right? That was it, right? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that CD, but not being able to Wikipedia it, in the mid. And so that was really fun. So anyway, I'm just a music dork and a movie dork, but I have not watched modern horror movies. So that is why my background, it is Candyman. That is I think the most scared I've ever been. I saw your guys' podcast description. It's like, what are horror movies to you? What do they represent in your life? My horror movie journey is very much shaped by my first holy fuck was Candyman. And that's another example where you grow up right off of 290 on Harlem, and I went playing hockey my whole life, in the city, going to oh God, what was it called? Jesus, McFetridge and the places, you lived, you lived driving down Lake Street to the city to beat rush hour, and you drove by Cabrini as a kid, and it was this, and then seeing it in a horror, that was just like a weird, a thing that made it scarier. It felt so much more real and geographically close. And then the Philip Glass shit that I didn't know was Philip Glass until far later in life, and I became a fan of his through the Koyaanisqatsi, or that trilogy, the Scotsy trilogy or whatever, and then realizing that was Philip Glass's film or film score. I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder it was so terrifying. Like his approach to a horror score, that just minimalism, that's so goddamn scary. And so anyway, you can see I love it, but I'm just behind the times.
No worries. No. Speaking of Candyman, have you seen the modern remake? Not even remake, continuation, kind of, sort of.
No. Should I?
Yes.
I should.
Yes.
It's good.
In my opinion.
Yes. I agree too.
Because isn't it all about it's in the condos where Cabrini is?
Yeah,
No.
it's in the
Argyle
what's the word I'm
Gardens.
looking for? The what?
It's in Argyle Gardens. I think that's where it was at. It looked like the gardens to me.
Wait, the first one?
No, the new one. They
The
renamed.
new one.
I'm sorry. I thought the premise was shit was going down where they built over Old Cabrini. But no,
Yeah,
is that
it's basically
Candyman?
Candyman gets gentrified.
Yeah, he does.
It isn't
He does. Gentrification of Candyman.
Wait, isn't Candyman Denzel's son? Is that who plays him, or is it a different guy?
That's neither here nor there. Spoiler alert. Yeah, that's who the main actor is in the new movie. Yeah.
That's not a spoiler though, is it? He's on the cover. Okay.
You gotta see the movie. You gotta see the movie.
Yeah, you gotta see the movie. You gotta
Like
see the
Spider-Man, where there's Richard. Is that guy Richard Roundtree? Is that the original dude?
Wow.
Let's see. Maybe no, that's not him. That's Shaft. Richard Roundtree is Shaft.
Yeah, he just died like last week.
Well, that's where I was like, well, how did Richard?
That's
Roundtree
probably why
become
it's top of
Spider-Man?
mind. I feel less bad now.
Is Spider-Man? Wait, is Spider-Man?
That's the
Shaft?
Mandela effect right there. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
Tony Todd is the guy. Ooh, Tony Todd.
Tony Todd is a cool motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now. We had one decent experience with him. We were podcasting at a comic convention, and for a wrestling company that we worked for, and he walked by, and as he's walking by, Deb's like, "Look, that's Tony Todd," and he goes off into the restroom. And then
And
when
then
he
I said,
comes,
you have to throw in the part where I said, wouldn't it be cool if he came back and he was like, hey guys, can I podcast with y'all?
so he gets out of the bathroom, right? And he walks up and he's like, "What are y'all guys doing? Are y'all podcasting?" He's like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Can I get on your podcast?" He's like, "Oh no, hold on, let me think about it, Mr. Tony Todd."
I was like, here you go, you can have my mic.
He
You
wanted
can
to
have
talk
my mic and
wrestling.
headphones.
He wanted to talk the Spurs versus the Lakers.
Oh,
And then he was just talking about the convention we were at, and then he just wanted to talk and just hang out. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
He took my seat, my mic, and I was like, here you go, you can have my spot.
I hope that's the day you guys didn't plan much. That would have been perfect. Tony Todd steps in, takes the mic.
What is this planning? What is this planning that you speak of? What is that?
Fair point. Never mind. How dare I? So wait, was Tony Todd? I need to do more conventions, don't I? Every time I listen longingly, these just sounds like a good time.
Sometimes.
Then
there's other times when I have to beat up the local bad guy, the Batman.
Yeah, what's the best case, worst case you guys seen in the last calendar year being at cons?
Oh, we haven't done any serious con stuff since before COVID.
Okay. I was where was I? I was in Grand Rapids for youth hockey tournament, and it was the convention was happening down the street. And it took me about half a day to understand why everyone else was in costumes. And then, of course, it occurred to me. And I was tempted to bring the kids, but yeah, to pack the schedule. But I was going to use that as an excuse to go to my first one. I've still never been to one.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to one too. I'm not going to front. I mean, I don't think I'm going to do the whole cosplay thing. You know, I'm too old for that shit. You know, I mean, dressing up in a costume is, I don't know. I mean, what am I going to do? Granddaddy IU?
You're never too old for that, Cobweb. I mean, I personally wouldn't dress up as anything, but I mean, it'd be funny to see you as Cobweb Optimus Prime just walking around
with a big beard hanging out.
All right, y'all. I think we've come to the end of today's episode. Mr. Mike Raspatello, we have your information up there right now. CHI Bluegrass.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to throw out there that you're doing?
The only thing I want you to do is watch, rate, review Festival starring Kenneth Cobweb Griffith. And I think that your challenge would be to rank Cobweb's top 5 one-liners in the film. It's really on IMDb, they're like best quotes. If this was a big enough film and that were to happen on IMDb, it'd be like 7 out of 10 would be Cobweb lines from the movie. Other people, hey, great. Just not as quippy. Younger, it was Gen Z talking through their feelings. Great part of the film. You needed it. Or I guess that would be millennials back then. But, Cobweb was the adult in the room. And he knew how to be concise. He knew how to snap out the one-liners just to keep it fresh. So I don't know what I'd do without him. The movie wouldn't. It would be pretty. It'd be pretty dry without our buddy here. So please watch him. It's 10 years old at this point. You can see how little and how much has changed all at the same time. It is fun to watch a moment frozen in time, man, and you made it so much more fun. So. That's what I want everyone to do.
What's the official title so they can find
Festival, it? Literally, Festival, a documentary. I think if you search my name, you'll be able to find it. But
I think it's on Freevee too.
It is Freevee. Yeah, you can find it on Prime, and then you watch through Freevee or whatever it is.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't try to, Josh is a big movie buff over here too. He's been in his movies, fair shares of movies too. And, he wasn't the star like I was, but he was he was in, I mean, he had a lot of lines, but I mean, he wasn't the star of the movie, so you know, but hey, we got to do the red carpet, you know, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
You know, and it was hanging out at the Cobra Lounge. That was pretty cool.
Great
You know,
time. Great.
You know, skipping the line.
freaking-
It was a great day. So
It
it's
was
like
a lot
10
of fun,
years.
man.
10
I
years
remember
of this movie.
it really was. It's still one of the things I'm most happy about doing in my life. I really mean that fun little art project that so many people were so gracious and helpful to help me create and check off the list really was number one on the bucket list. And it I like when people say, like, if you didn't have to work another day in your life and you had a gajillion dollars tomorrow, what would you do? I would make a gajillion mediocre documentaries for the rest of my life, hopefully getting good at one point. And I think we did pretty damn good for that first one, but that is still at 42 what I want to be when I grow up. So you guys can teach me your magic as well next time I get an opportunity to do that.
Awesome. All right, y'all. I mean, it's not gonna get any better than to end it right there. But
That's it.
So
You're the best, guys.
once
Thank you
again,
so
Mike,
much.
thanks for being on here. So everybody that's been listening, I'm Josh.
I'm Cobweb.
And I'm Deb.
Mike.
And we're Cast of the Pod. You have been warned.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good one.